What is up, guys? Thanks for checking out another episode. Today we're going to be showing you the project bike that I mentioned in the previous episode. On the previous one, we just welded up the gas tank, got it all prepared. In this one, we're actually going to be revealing the bike to you. So this is a 2006 Hyosung GT650. This is a Korean clone to the Suzuki SV650. There's actually been a little history. I can't remember the exact specifics, but there is history with Suzuki and Hyosung working together back in the day. That's why when they were releasing the Hyosung products, they were very, very similar, all based off of the Suzuki products, like the SV650, which you see in front of us. It's either naked or a full fairing bike. And then the ones with the full fairing bikes, those were very similar in design to the Suzuki GSX-Rs. But this one, like I said, is a Hyosung. Everything is Suzuki parts, believe it or not, which is really cool and easy. I got this bike for a absolute steal of a deal. As you saw, the condition of the gas tank wasn't in the greatest. And as you can see too, the condition of the seats and everything are pretty manky. This bike, I actually was under the impression that it was stolen. So I ran the VIN numbers in a couple agencies. For us, we have the RCMP out here in Canada. So I ran it in their database. The VIN was clean. Our insurance broker out in British Columbia is ICBC. So I ran the VIN in their system and it came back as normal, which means this is not a stolen bike and it is a clean title, which means I can actually legally register it in my name and also insure it to drive on the road. A couple of the issues that I noticed right away with the bike was, other than that absolute horrible paint job, was the frame. It had a bunch of that red tuck tape that people use on their taillights every once in a while too if it's broken. That's embedded in the frame. No matter how hard you try, it will always just mush around. The horrible condition of the seats. And then also, like I said, the gas tank had the hole in it. It didn't even have an ignition and lock set. They used everything. This ignition lock cylinder wasn't even here. I actually just bought that, a full ignition lock set. So a brand new lock cylinder for the tail, brand new gas cap for the fuel tank, and then also a brand new ignition set here. So I just got that yesterday. It just arrived in the mail, so I got it all mocked up to the bike. They literally just unbolted it and then fed in a actual push button switch to turn the ignition on and off. They still had the push button start here. Yeah, it was really weird. It really sketched me out. That's why I right away checked to see if the bike was stolen, and then with the insurance company that we use, if it was all still good to go, and thankfully it was. So I bought the bike, got the title, and got it legally transferred into my name, which is awesome. It's got like an Acerbis style front headlight with a projector housing, and then also just like a regular housing high beam. This bike, though, guys, is going to undergo a massive, massive transformation. I'm going to be planning on stripping everything off of the frame, painting the frame actually a very nice satin black. Like I mentioned before too, I'm going to be planning on doing the nice AMG satin gray wrap on it. So the fuel tank is going to get wrapped, and then also the whole tail section, that's all going to get wrapped in that really nice AMG satin gray. Like, they didn't even care. There were so many stickers all over the bike too. I've already peeled those off, but they didn't care. They just spray bombed it. Got all the overspray on the taillight, all the overspray on the indicators. I'm probably going to be converting the indicators though to a nice LED ones. Clean the bike up, give it a little bit more modern of a feel of it too. The can, I'm probably going to leave the exhaust. It's not too bad. And then for the footrests and the pegs and everything, pretty much just a fresh coat of silver. We'll take care of that. Change all the fluids out of it too. Do a full service on the bike. Put it all back together. And then actually start riding it. One of the cool things about this bike is because it's 2006, it's carbureted. So it is the V-twin 650 with a dual carbs, obviously one per cylinder. The carbs themselves, they look actually to be really good shape. When you open them up for the diaphragms there, they seem to be in really good shape, nice and clean on the inside. But as far as like all the fuel lines and the hoses, fuel filters, that's all going to get changed out for brand new hoses. Everything's going to get cleaned up 100%. This bracket's going to get sandblasted and fresh coated paint. The triple tree up top is pretty scratched, so I'm probably going to sand that all down, get the GoPro mount off of it, sand this all down, give it a fresh coat of silver. And then also the Cerebase headlight too, I'm planning on wrapping because the fairing is very, very loose. Like, look, just like the tank, they never even prepped it. It's literally just flexing and just peeling off. So that's why I'm thinking about just wrapping the top headlight fairing, that nice AMG gray also. Let's do a little B-roll and yeah, check this thing out. Are thinking it is an absolute manky, disgusting turd. And you're right, it is 100%. But the thing about me and this bike is I can envision what it's going to be at the finish line, just like I did with my R34. When I got this car, it was nowhere near the caliber that it is today. I was able to vision what the exact final product was going to be, and I came very darn near close to exactly what I thought this car was going to turn out to be. And I'm very pleased with the end result. It's turned into a beautiful car. Yeah, couldn't have asked for a better result. So like I said, guys, the main plan with this bike is to do a complete teardown on it, to a 100% overhaul, get all the wiring stripped out of the body, get all the wiring stripped out of the frame, clean up the absolute rat nest that's left behind. All these connectors are factory. Thankfully, everything else is pretty much all intact other than the ignition wiring harness, which I have just here taped up just currently. Just for test purposes, this is by no means the final result. I literally did this just to ensure that when I have the battery in it, I get power to all my relays, I get power to the starter, to the rest of the harness on the bike, which I do, so that is perfect. Have not made it permanent yet because, like I said, I'm planning on tearing the entire thing apart and I might need all that free yet. Enough talking, let's get some of this bike taken apart. So for the headlight, it's actually really cool because this is more of a universal fitment. It's actually got these rubber bands around the forks that you can actually undo, which pops the headlight completely off. So once we get this side all off, it should in theory come off the bike. But there's obviously going to be some wiring to disconnect first before it 100% comes off and kisses the front fender here. Now, when it comes to these bikes, guys, you definitely got to know what you're doing as it comes to wiring. I've had many years experience working on these type of bikes, even regular motorcycles, from, you know, the Chinese scooters, Chinese dirt bikes, Chinese ATVs, the whole lot, all the way up to the Japanese products. I've become very familiar with a full 12-volt system, everything. So for something like this, it's no problem at all. I remember when I was learning, I was very nervous to get into a motorcycle as a project. I think my first motorcycle project was a like 95 Honda CBR 900 Fireblade, something like that. And for 900 for a first bike, holy cow, I nearly fell off the thing a couple times. And then it transpired into many different bikes after that, from like a 2001 Ninja ZX9R to a GSX-R 600, 2001 into like a 2012 GSX-R. There's been just so many bikes I've honestly lost count. But you know, when you get to car knowledge, 12-volt systems, motors and everything pretty much for the most part is similar. However, obviously it's 2 wheels instead of 4. Motors are a little bit different, but for the gist of it, the dynamics and the concept of it is the same. So unfortunately, this bike has definitely been a victim of some ham-hockery wiring. Like I said, with the ignition literally being cut off. Thankfully though, the mounting points for it wasn't damaged. It's just loose like this because I don't have any of the bolts tight. I literally had it in place just to see first off if it will actually match up to the bike. But yeah, I got that off eBay. Like I said, the full ignition lock set, everything like that. But the headlight wiring has been absolutely ham-hocked, spliced in. What an absolute rat's nest and a fire hazard. I'm going to be undoing all this and cleaning it up all perfect 100%. Soldering, heat shrink, the whole 9 yards. I'm going to be going through the whole harness just to make sure it is 100% and safe and not going to create a fire between my legs while I'm riding the bike. They didn't even bother having the turn signals wired in. But I got the pigtails of the headlight bulbs all undone. The last thing to do is wherever that release tab is on the last rubber mount on the forks. Oh, there it is right there. Perfect. And now we got a headlight that is loose. I don't know if this is a genuine Acerbis headlight setup, but that's what I know them to be referred as, like the general design universal fitment, how they just have the 4 rubber bands to the fork mounts. I already took the gauge cluster off a little bit ago before I actually started filming. But yeah, this is the gauge cluster, so it's got an actual analog tacho on it. And then for the speedometer, it's all digital. Gives you your fuel reading and everything sorts like that. Your clock, your trip, everything is all on the digital display. And a bunch of other wiring connectors. Okay guys, so we do have a little bit more of the wiring torn down. I have a lot of it pulled through, disconnected from the actual switches. I have the throttle cables disconnected. The clutch cables disconnected. Keep in mind too, when you are just randomly taking stuff apart, for the most part, these connectors themselves are always going to be one size and one way, how they go on. And usually they're all color coordinated. However, on these butt connectors, they're actually not. Thankfully though, there is male and female on them. But just a friendly reminder, when you are doing projects like this, throw a label on them. Just that way, when you're putting everything back together, it's a lot easier and you're not diagnosing why half of your functions on your bike don't work. One of the things, like I mentioned, because it didn't come with any keys, all the ignition lock set, all that stuff was broken, I actually had to try my best to disassemble the tail fairing section, get my hand in there enough to pull the cable to release the seat to see what's going on in here. And as you can see, the ham hockery does not end up front. They got duct tape holding a bunch of stuff together. I don't know what's going on in there. But I got a brand new lock set for this, brand new cable, and a brand new actual latch mechanism. This one appears to be actually working pretty decent when I pull this. It seems to release the seat and hold it very well. So I might just keep this. I might just swap it all out. Keep it all for spare parts, who knows. The passenger bar, I'm probably going to be painting a nice satin black just to match the frame, give it a nice contrast two-tone match, because you're going to have the AMG satin gray wrapped tank, the wrapped rear tail section, a nice satin black frame, and then also, like I said, I feel that if I paint this, the nice satin black too, it's going to give it a good contrast in a couple tones there. Every square inch of this bike, when I look at it, I find something new about it. Take a look how they're holding the lower radiator mount to the actual cylinder head of the engine block here. Like, they got a nail bent holding it in place. Are you serious right now, guys? Oh my gosh. These are the things that you find though. Like, that is obviously going to get corrected. No way am I leaving that. We're going to make this thing look amazing when it's done, and I'm very excited when we are finished it to show you the before and after photos and also B-roll on that too. But for right now, we're going to keep on going. So now I'm just in the middle of taking off of the exhaust. In order to separate the exhaust, you have a clamp right here from the header to the cylinder head, and then in here, it loops all the way down, and then up in here, and you can see, try to get this to focus. You can see the other clamp right there. So you reach with a long or with an extension on a socket and you go down there to unloosen the clamp. We should be able to undo the can hanger right here. And in theory, just the can and mid pipe should be able to drop it from the header pipe there. Okay guys, with a little bit of effort and a lot of trouble, we managed to get the exhaust off. So there was actually another mount point hiding underneath the frame there, underneath the swing arm. And then also we did have to undo the actual header pipe from the first cylinder, because it just was not enough room for it to snake out from in behind the swing arm in the shock in order to take it out completely. So we had to also loosen that off to drop it all off once it's separated from cylinder 2, little header pipe there. Now we got the exhaust all sitting up top there, stored away. And then we're also slowly collecting more and more things in the parts pile there. Got a little bolt bin going on. And yeah, we'll keep on going. Now let's move our focus to the tail section, get the passenger handlebar removed, and then also the actual tail fairing itself. And then we'll be able to see exactly what's going on with the frame and wiring, if any alteration. I have a feeling there is something going on in that back corner there, especially with that duct tape that we saw earlier. Holy cow. So we got the tail section removed 100%. Yeah, it's a lot of duct tape. I'm fearing what the heck is hiding behind here. As you can see, they probably broke the mount or something that this is supposed to sit into. They just didn't even bother to actually make an attempt to make it safe and legal for the road. Got a zap strap. Goodness knows what's going on in here. It's just an absolute mess. But although we will take 100% care of it, we'll clean it all up. Like I said, we're probably going to get the cool LED turn signals on it. Just give it an updated look and everything. And then also helps with that aggressive matte AMG gray. And then also the satin black frame that we're going to be going with. All right, so a little bit further progress here. We're actually trying to remove the tail under tray here. We removed both rear sets for the passenger, each side. We ended up getting all the wiring cleaned up. Thankfully, it wasn't actually too bad. It was just zap strapped and duct taped everywhere for some reason. Why, I don't know. But it's all going to be 100% when we put it back together. I got the taillight out. Evidently, though, they used some weird cob LED bulb on the brake light. If it works, we'll keep it, but definitely, like I mentioned, for the turn signals, we will go in complete different LED design on the actual unit itself, not just replacing the bulb. And just like that, the undertail tray is removed. It also holds the battery too. That's all done, removed from the bike. Now we just got a bunch of these relays, everything, because my main goal, even though I'm not really going to see any of this, my main goal is just clean all of it up. Fresh coat of satin black on the whole bike after we sand it all down. You can see there's a lot of surface corrosion and rust. We're going to get rid of all that. And then also on the swing arm here where the exhaust was in the way, it's literally just flaking off from rust and corrosion and just nasty paint. So we're going to get all that completely sanded down with a DA palm sander. And yeah, that will be all taken care of. But that's all in due time. We have a lot of work ahead of us in order to tear this bike down. This is something that we cannot have be banged around, connected to the wire harness. It lives right up in this corner here. This is actually the computer that fires the bike. Essentially, it's the igniter, but this is the ECU. Not really much to it as far as size, just the size of my palm. But this is a very crucial, important piece of the build. I cannot have this damaged, so I'm actually going to put this inside my toolbox in one of those drawers up there, where it does not get touched or banged around, because that will be a very expensive mistake if that gets broken. Okay guys, so pretty much where we're left off here. Okay guys, so pretty much where we're left here now is I got all the wiring pretty much disconnected. I got the rectifier, which controls the voltage, undone down there. Pretty much all the wiring is ready to be separated from the bike. But for right now, I'm going to call it a night and we'll check back on another day. Okay guys, so it is the next day. Did a little bit of work off camera on the motorcycle. We'll show you what we just did. So like I said, got the bike torn down a little bit further off camera. Ended up draining the coolant system. It's just old remnants of oil that was in there before. That's why it looks all weird and mixed. Ended up getting pretty much the rest of the wiring all undone from the motor. Got the rear sets off both sides. Have the chain cover removed from over here. And the shift linkage in the rear set also taken off. We're just going to be in the middle of perhaps taking off the wheel to get the chain off. The chain looks savable, so I'm actually going to leave it in a bucket full of oil. That way it gets rejuvenated. It does appear to be in good condition. It just hasn't been oiled for a while, so I have a feeling that putting it in the bucket full of oil will have good luck with that. So I also removed the front fender from the front wheel. Removed the radiator. Yeah, just been pretty much taking it apart little bit by little bit. Got the coolant reservoir tank all removed also. Started to undo the coil packs back in the front. So I'm going to keep on going here, continue to disconnect a bunch of stuff, and we'll check back in a little bit. Okay guys, it is much later than when I left off here. I got put on another project here. I'm working on a friend's Mercedes RS500. Doing rear suspension airbag stuff on that. So that unfortunately took a long time. Still fighting with an issue with that, but let's show you the motorcycle. And just like that, the motor is out. It has been an absolute task, I tell you. This motor was actually held in extremely well. There was a lot of bolts, a lot of tricky access areas where I had to get into. But the motor is finally out. Look at this. Pretty much had the thing leaning on me a few times, but I got it out. Got the rear tire off so that way I can get the chain undone off the sprockets in order to release the motor off the front sprocket there. Back tire is just sitting over there. But yeah, this is really good progress. I'm really happy with this. But for tonight, guys, I'm absolutely bagged. I'm going to end this one off here. Please do remember to subscribe to the channel and also follow me on the Instagram. Just that way you do keep up with updates, especially on projects like this or the Mercedes that I'm working on in the background. Thing is an absolute nightmare, but we're getting there. August Luxury Motorcars is looking for a Euro technician. Maybe I should apply? No, never mind. Forget that. Working on European cars is not fun at all. But yeah, anyhow. Check back next episode. We're going to continue on the motorcycle, tear it down a little bit more, and hopefully get it prepped for paint. Thanks a lot, guys, for checking this one out. Have a good one.